Like, hey, show people, right?
Like when people tell me my kids are growing up, I said that's the least that they can achieve in life.
Right?
Come on, give them higher goals.
Oh,
Be
Lord.
taller than their mom.
I don't know. I got this headache from the devil. Must be busy today. All right.
Take a
So
breath.
the event is living distinctively, fulfilling your vision. My name is Radisha Francis, for y'all who don't know me. I saw somebody else with the Francis last name. That's you? Child, you know. You're related somewhere. I'm just joking. You're probably Jamaican? Okay. The first thing I want to speak about is your distinctive value. Genesis 1:1 says, in the beginning, God created. I don't need to get past them 5 words. In the beginning, God created. What did he create? Now, we can go through some of the different verses where he said, let there be. And he spoke different things, but he took the time to create us with his hands. That means we were valuable. He created us and the animals with his hands. You could double check it in Genesis if you want to, because it wasn't only humans he made with hands. That means that he paid attention to every single detail about you. And one of the scriptures, he said he knit us inside our mother's wombs. If you find errors or flaws in yourself, you're insulting God. Because if he took the time to weave you and knit you the way you did, whatever kind of hair you want to call it, whatever kind of nose, whatever kind of lips, you have an issue with God. You're telling him that he didn't do something right. People always say, oh, you think you're better than people because you got good hair, white people hair. You think I'm better because of the hair. I have no control over the texture of my hair, the color of my skin, or anything. So it must be something through your eyes, the filters that you have you making that value assessment of me. One of the first things I want to speak about, value assessment. I'm a realtor, and one of the things that, when it comes down to property appraisal, they say it's an art, it's not a science, because different people place different values on certain things. What may be valuable to you may not be valuable to me. Sometimes we're allowing the wrong people to assess our values. Sometimes we give things a higher value than they're supposed to have, and sometimes we're just looking at things totally the wrong way. So who are you letting assess your value? Assign a value to you? What don't you find to be important of a great value? And what values do you need to get rid of? I truly do not care what people think about me. And I don't say it in a bad way. I truly don't care. In order to achieve a certain level of success, I cannot care what people have to say. If God tells me to do something, I don't care if my pa don't like it. Ask my mommy, she's right there. It does not make a difference. Sometimes we need to have people's approval so much that we don't ever stay true to ourselves. When you become successful, you're going to have to shake that off. Dr. Seuss said, in order to be number one, you have to be odd. Look at the people who are successful in life. It was something that God put in me. I never wanted to be like somebody else. I remember in the 6th grade, I had this assignment where the teacher said, if you could be anybody in the world, who would it be? I wrote about myself. She didn't say anyone besides yourself. I don't know what challenges you have. I don't know how life is behind the scenes for you. I don't even know your thought process. I don't want to delve into that world of someone else not knowing what's going to be there. So what I do is I embrace me for who I am, and I develop myself. Sometimes we allow the wrong people to assess our value, and sometimes we hold the wrong values. You have a distinctive value. There's this word distinctive that just keeps coming up, because whenever I do things with business, or I'm helping people create events and different things like that, I always try to find a way to do it distinctively. Now, distinctive could be good or bad. I try to do it in a good way because that sets you apart. And God said we ought to be set apart from others. I've never been a person who liked company, who liked crowds. You just get lost in the crowd. I'm not trendy. I don't like what's in fashion. I like what I like. So people may say, oh, Radisha, that's out of fashion. That's out of style. I don't care. I like it. It's comfortable. I think I look cute. It doesn't really make a difference to me. And let me tell you, it wasn't an easy process, though. There's a lot of times when I've been by myself for weeks and my phone wouldn't ring. But I was fine with that, because I had to develop myself. I had to study myself. When people say, oh, you're so much like this person, after several times people saying that different people don't know each other, you have this particular trait, I had to look at myself and say, well, what is it about me that other people see that is something that's true that I may need to fine tune about myself? There's something in you that won't be found in another. It truly is. Think about it. Just like our fingerprint, we have a fingerprint purpose. I like to say, y'all can't take that. I can trademark that and copyright that. Y'all can't take that one though. But each one of us our fingerprints are different. Just like us. That's God showing you out of the billions of people that existed. No two people have the same fingerprint. So what is your fingerprint purpose? That's what I call it. What is it that only you could do that once you leave would never get accomplished? Let's take a moment of silence. Think about that. That thing that's been in your mind for years but you never thought you could do. Didn't have the resources, the education, the skills, the influence. Is that an excuse not to try and get it done? You heard that excuse. One thing my son's father really taught me is that if you truly want to get something done, you get it done. I remember I stopped praying to God for money and I started praying for results. God said you can't serve him and the spirit of mammon. He didn't say Satan, you know. The spirit of money is more powerful than Satan. So one year I had a thing, because each year I would normally have a theme. And one year was supernatural. And boy, let me tell you, that was a supernatural year because I really didn't have it like that. But it allowed me to really bring to pass to light what it was that I was testing out. And I would always pray to God for a particular thing, for the results. I would never ask him for the money. And you know, every single time I got the results, sometimes we're focused on the wrong things. Why you have to have the money in your hand? If you desire to have a ministry and outreach, just say, God, take care of it. That's just like this event. I said, God, you know, I work hard on my events. I said, if you want me to do this, you got to work this out. And that's exactly what he did in about 30 days' time. And my thing is, I don't ever really care for numbers, you know. I care for quality, not quantity. You get more results done in smaller rooms. People always want to have the big numbers and the followers. I'm not looking for fans. I'm not looking for tries. I'm not looking for any of that. I'm just looking to make sure that I do my part and do the things I'm supposed to, and that's it. I'm not looking for the recognition to say, hey, Radish, you did such a great job. I'm not looking for any of that. And if I ever do anything for anybody, please don't tell nobody. Because when I give just because I want to, and I don't want anyone to know. Too many people like recognition for things, and that's their just reward right there. Now, Mike Murdoch says there's a law of difference. It's what others need from you that truly makes a difference in who you really are. People really need to take the time to study themselves. That's one of your assignments. Study yourself. But don't write in these books yet. This is a special book. Special book. Be true to yourself and how you conduct yourself daily. And you're rewarded and compensated for what you do that others can't do like you. So most people like to jump on a bandwagon or whatever's popular. Everybody wants to do that thing. Whenever everyone's doing that thing, I go the opposite direction. Because there's abundance and where there's a few people. But where everybody is scarcity and lack because they're depleting those resources. Yeah. Don't run for what everybody's doing. You do your thing and the results will come. And that's one of the things. I remember I was in a particular network marketing business. And I knew everything about the company. I mean, all the legal details, every single thing. Directors would even come to me for information. And there was this lady who was mediocre in the business, but she had the right habits. Do you know she surpassed me? It's not about what you know. It's about what you do. Mm-hmm. You may be the smartest, brightest, all those kind of things. It's just like a book on the shelf. If the knowledge is there and it's not being used, it doesn't even make a difference. Mm-hmm. So a mediocre person could be more successful than you because they're doing what they're supposed to do every day. So don't get mad at them saying, oh, I know more than them. They shouldn't have that job. What is it that they're doing that you're not doing? There's some papers that I got for y'all today. And when I live my days like these, I have great results. And these are my to be accomplished days. When I wake up with enough time to have time with God, quiet meditation time, reviewing my goals, reading, listening to motivational messaging and going over my schedule, let me tell you, my success is out the window. But when I jump out of bed and I'm running, I got to get ready, get him for school and make lunch and do all these things. Guess what? Life is like that every day. But when you start your day on purpose and you focus, you have the right focus, let me tell you, even if you don't have money, there's nothing that you can't do. Because once you make up your mind to do something, the resources will come. I watched that time and time and time again. And I'm going to show you how God gave you everything that you need to be successful. And that doesn't always include focusing on a dollar sign. Each person can take one. Since there's not so many of us in here, y'all could take two. One to make copies of and one to use. Do you know that it's insulting to God to be mediocre?
Oh, yeah. Oh, he said next
Have you ever thought about that? How insulting it is to God to be mediocre. If he made you in his image and likeness, he gave you a creative ability to design and to create your unique world. Who are you to be mediocre? And I don't apologize for it. I'm not mincing my words on it. Who are you to be mediocre? There's no excuse. Zero, zip, zilch, nada. Let that sit in for a second.
Say la.
And do you know that everyone isn't supposed to understand you? Your message isn't for everyone. Everyone is not supposed to understand you. So why are you getting frustrated when people don't understand you? That means they're not for you. Just like how God is a gentleman and he doesn't force himself, don't force yourself on people. If someone isn't for God, guess what? He's like this. You need to do the same. Sometimes you outgrow friendships, relationships, even the people who you live in the same house with aren't always for you. Let those dead things be dead and speak life to those things that you're supposed to speak life to. And if you're not sure how things are supposed to go, you ask God to deal with it in whatever way he finds to be best and let him do it so your hands always stay clean. Your difference decides your importance. This is something else from Dr. Mike Murdoch's book about your distinctive value. Your difference decides your importance. When people come to me for consulting services, I do not negotiate my price. I had a client recently trying to negotiate down on my retainer by a certain amount of money. People, like Alicia said, people spend money on what they find to be valuable. If you don't want to pay my price, that's on you. I have a child to take care of. I have bills. I have different things to do. So if you don't find it that you want to pay the price or the investment to be with me, maybe we're not the right match. Mm-hmm. And somebody else who's more than willing and able to see my value. Not everyone has been able to see my value, and that's fine. That means that if we had a working relationship together, it just would have been tumultuous and caused me headaches, and I don't like headaches. That's the reason why I work for myself, so I can have a peace of mind. I actually created the life that I live because this is how I wanted my life to be. I always knew that when I became a mother, I wanted to be able to stay home with my child for at least the first year. And then from there, I always wanted to be able to drop him to school and pick him up and take him to different activities. So if someone asks me to do something outside that time frame, I literally have no problem telling them no. Because this is the way I chose to have my life designed, because this is what's valuable to me. Being a Mary Kay independent beauty consultant some years ago, one of the things that stuck with me was what Mary Kay Ash said. God first, family second, career third. If your life is out of order, nothing else will flow. When she's at the office, she's an executive. At home, she's a mom. Sometimes we bring work at home and home to work, and it's not going to flow. We have to be able to separate things. When you're home, you need to be present with your family. When you're at work, you need to be present for your clients. But when you start mixing them up, it's just going to be chaos and confusion. You see people coming to work complaining and, boy, you better put some makeup on or something and put on a show, act, and go. Because everybody has their own challenges. And sometimes people say, oh, I never knew you were going through that. It wasn't for you to know. And you know what's interesting? That some people, if they don't know your story, they won't help you. Why do you have to know my story for you to do what you're supposed to do? Mm-hmm. Is it just because you're nosy? Touch your nose? If there's something that you're supposed to do for someone, you don't have to know their story. All you're supposed to do is do your part and keep stepping. It was interesting. Last week I got stuck in Orlando with my son when we went for Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween. We went to go have some fun. Checked out the hotel. The car wouldn't start. Now, for some reason, my hair just wasn't laying right, man. The wind was blowing it all over. I probably like my little ghetto hood rat or something. I was looking a hot mess.
You forgot your do-rag, girl.
Man, let me tell you, my hair wasn't laid. I was like, I'll file for my hair. I'm like this. And then my left probably was looking kind of chapped, and people wouldn't help me. Some people wouldn't, but then when I would pray to God for things, he would always send me the right resources. Like literally, if we needed a wrench, the security was passing by with the wrench in their hand. Like he had everything that I needed. And I remember I went to Walmart and I need to pay the mechanic because you know I had to get my car hot wired, right? So that's how I got home from Orlando. I had to pay somebody to hot wire my car. So I'm looking like I'm driving around like I have a stolen car or something. But thank God I got the papers for that car. And I had just gotten some cash back at Walmart and it came out in 20s, but I needed the 20 broken into a 10. So I asked the gentleman at the little Subway if they could give me change for the 20. Oh no, not unless you're buying something from us. God will put the right people in your path at the right time just to serve a purpose and go. So the guy already told me no, and I'm thinking, well, you tell me no, I'm gonna just stand here and wait a minute. I'll figure this out. The lady who was being served, she said something to him. I still can't recall everything that she said to him, but she took the 20 from me, and I think she told me I just purchased something. Give me the change. I said, look at that. She didn't want to have a conversation. She didn't need to know the story. None of that. And it wasn't until after I said, thank you so much. I said, my car's been broken down and we've been stuck here from Saturday. And this is what I need to pay the mechanic. The guy behind the counter now has empathy. You didn't need to know my story to give me change for 20, and so many times people withhold things thinking that you have everything together or you don't need it. In life, if God puts something on your heart to do for someone, you don't need to know the story or why. Just do your part. It's been some amazing testimonies that I've heard from people later on in life. So I'm going to go over a little bit about what living is. Some people look at living as, making an income to be able to sustain your family and stuff like that. But I look at living as a quality of life. I figure God put all this stuff here for us. He made all this good stuff. Why am I going to be stuck in Miami? Why am I not going to enjoy everything he created for me to enjoy? So now I have a value for traveling, going on vacations and doing things like that. But somebody else doesn't have the same value that I have. Am I going to change it because we have different values? You ain't got to go on the trip. It's that simple. You don't have to give me the money for the trip. That doesn't mean I'm going to change it at all. So living is really having an exciting, fulfilling life. But only you know what that looks like for you. I'm not going hiking. Mm-hmm. I'm not going camping.
Hello, sister.
I'm limited on road trips. But we could go on a plane. We could go on a cruise or something.
Yeah.
So, but and that's the thing. You have to define what is living for you. Some people may define living as going on mission trips. May the Lord bless you.
I will help you get there.
Right? I will sponsor that for you. But living is spending one's life in a particular way, and only you know what's right, and the only person's permission you need is God's. Let me tell you, the vision that God has given for me, a lot of people don't even know the full vision, but it's not for them to know. I realize even when you share with people who mean well, sometimes just speaking it kills you. You know how many things were supposed to happen for me that did not happen because I spoke it? Man, Ellen DeGeneres was going to give me a free car. The wrong person heard it. And everything just stopped. Her show had called me 3 times, knew where I lived, had pictures of me and my son, even my license plate number. But the wrong person caught a whiff of it.
That's right.
And it's very true.
It's true.
People don't have to do witchcraft. There's life and death in the power of the tongue.
Yes.
A person could speak a word and cancel it out. Sometimes they could speak with so much hatred that is more powerful than the good that's out there. That's why you always have to say, no weapons formed against me shall prosper in the name of Jesus. Let me tell you, some days I be walking around, no weapons shall prosper against me. And then I don't know I'm doing it, and then I find out later what was going on, and it didn't work. Sometimes you just have to say things like that. Let me tell you, the most powerful thing we have are our words. When God created, he said, let there be. Let me tell you about the power of the word be. 2 letters, B, E, has powerful creative force. God said, let there be this. Let there be that. Jesus spoke to the sea. He said, peace be still. Yeah. Whatever precedes B happens. So I'll be walking around the place. This will be happening. This is happening. This is being done. And I walk into the house and this will be mine and all these different kind of things. And guess what? As strange as it sounds, it happened. And the thing what I would not do is I would not insult God trying to figure out how it was going to happen. That how could be a torturing thing. Yes. They talk about people torture you at war. How is torture in a regular everyday person's mind? But Lord, how this gonna work? That ain't none of your business. So all I ask God is, okay, Lord, what's my part? What am I supposed to do or not supposed to do so I can get out your way so we can get this stuff done? And I always have to be true to me. And fulfilling something means that you need to get it done and the time. Man, I'll give y'all a little bit because I don't talk in a public forum normally about some of my spiritual gifts. But one of mine is dreams and dream interpretation, and I can see visions. Like I can be awake and I can see visions, and God speaks to me audibly, like in dreams and different stuff like that. So again, I like Peter. I got my flaws, right? So y'all don't judge me, right? And one night I had this dream. I drove into the dealership in my Volvo, and I drove out in a BMW.
Yes, Lord.
And I said, Lord, what this is? I said, how that work though? I drive into the Volvo. I drive a BMW. So I had a very, very late birthday gift, and one of my friends took me to this restaurant, right? Go to the restaurant, and right here, that's how I know I'm going. Right here, it's like, Radisha, you need to leave. I said, but I know where I'm going. It's like, leave. I said, but I know where I'm going. So I told my friend, I said, girl, we're supposed to be going somewhere, but I know where we're going, so we can sit right here for a while, right? Delayed obedience is disobedience. So I didn't realize I passed like 3 dealerships going to the restaurant, right? So now we gotta leave. And I said, oh girl, let's stop to the Audi dealership because everybody know I like the Audi A8 LW12. I've been praying the Lord for that for like 10 years. For 10 years. And I went there and I saw someone who I know, a very wealthy lady, a multi-millionaire as a matter of fact. And I was talking to her about some different things and you know what I had seen about her and telling her to be cautious because people just want to be her friend because she got money, right? She said God had dealt with her about that and it doesn't bother anymore. She said, girl, I turned in my BMW to go get this Q7 or whatever it is because she tired of having to ask people to do things. But it's nothing wrong with a BMW. She just need a truck. So she got an Audi truck. I said, girl, last night just had a dream. I had a BMW. I said, how much you sell it to me for? No, and I had no money. I ain't had no money. I ain't gonna lie. She said, if you had gone here just a few minutes sooner, I literally just signed the papers. I would have given you the car. That was the car God showed me driving to the dealership and getting. But my delayed obedience was disobedience, and I don't have a 750i. And I'm here to tell y'all the story so y'all don't be just like me. My mommy could have had my other car. So now mommy's suffering from my disobedience too. You see how the sins of the children going to parents? Now, your vision has to be your vision. Not your mommy vision. Not your daddy vision, not your family vision, but your vision. Now, people will tell you wrong for leaving your family and doing things. Didn't God tell Abram to leave Lot? Mm-hmm. And when he took Lot behind him, what happened? All kinds of people get killed. Angels almost get assaulted and everything because he didn't listen. He wanted to keep family behind him. Sometimes your family can't go with you. Sometimes your children can't go with you. There's going to be a season where you have to separate from people, and it's okay. For years, I stayed in my room by myself with my young son. And I said, okay, I have this goal. If I spend this $27 that goes to the movies and all this, how could I be putting this into my business? What is it that I could be doing with the money that I normally wouldn't do? So a lot of times I'll be by myself. I hear about all the stories, how people had fun when they went out, all the different things they did. But that wasn't my vision. So I sacrificed fun and joy to develop my business. And sometimes it's lonely. And sometimes people think because you're cute or you look a certain way that you have everyone around you. Sometimes you're the most lonely people. Even Proverbs to tell you that even beautiful people are lonely. Wealthy people don't sleep well, and their children be held for ransom. The things that people desire and covet, if you got it, you wouldn't even want it. And another thing is some people aren't even prepared to receive what they've been asking for. Lord help me. Don't let certain people watch this video right now, Lord. So there's a scenario that I know about where a lot of money has been invested. Close your eyes. And when it's finally time for the manifestation of the thing they desired, they're not even prepared to receive it. After spending all the money, all the years, all the headache, is manifestation time. And during the time of even sowing the money and doing all that thing, all those different things, they literally are not prepared to receive it. So are there some things that you're asking God for that you're not even prepared to receive? I mean, I might say, God, man, if you give me one 10,000, one 15,000, something like that, I say, man, I'll be able to get all these things done. Now, I ain't gonna tell you if I get the money, right? But did I get the stuff done? Sometimes you say, God, if I just get this, I'll get that done, and you get it and you don't get it done. So sometimes that's why he has to have us in a season of lack in order to be able to get us to do the things that we need to do now. Because if we have the money, we won't do it. That's just like when I was stuck in Orlando. I was like, okay, well, I was supposed to have a deposit in my account for a certain amount of money by a certain time. I need to get my car shipped home. I need to get a rental car. I need to do all this. If I had the money in my account, guess what? I'd have paid to get my car shipped home and a rental car. And that'd have been hundreds of dollars a waste. I paid $25 to get my car hot wired and got home just fine. So sometimes if we have the money, we'll make foolish decisions. Yeah. Think about that. Because money will be your answer. You'll be praying to God and seeking him for anything, and you'll be wasting money. Your money will be your answer for everything. And money is not your answer for everything. Even when you have money, you still need to seek God and ask him his opinion and whatever different options or routes you should take. Vision. Now, vision and eyesight are two different things. Vision and reality are two different things. And what is reality for me may not be reality for you. We live in different worlds. That's why we have our own worlds. God created the world, you know? So vision is, for me, long-term. Not just the present, not present circumstances, situations, people, places, things. But how do I want it to look in the end? There's a shirt that I normally wear that says, creating a dynasty as my legacy. I don't have a preset vision that I have for my son. Whatever God chooses for him to do is what will be done. I'm not saying he's going to be a doctor or lawyer. He has to develop his interests, even when he's creating his business now, because my son has a business, Arden's World Inc. I'm actually not even letting him buy anything for the business until he finishes the groundwork. He wants to start selling. No, you need to finish the groundwork. You need to finish your activities, and then we'll buy the stuff. Because if you get a business and it starts making money, then it becomes this whole chaotic thing because you didn't have the groundwork done. And that's why God has some of us in our season of what he plow and he dig up and you cultivate, you take the weeds out, you sow the seed and all that. Some of us are in that season for a reason. Another thing is, for us who ain't married in here, a lot of people desire a virtuous woman, but not everybody qualifies for a virtuous wife. Only a man of noble character qualifies for a virtuous wife. So some of you are virtuous women in here, and you married somebody who didn't have a noble character, and that's why you're catching some of the problems you're catching. But you could speak life to them, and things will change. They really will, because I've seen in situations where I've had to speak things. I'm walking up and down that house, Lord, and he will be the greatest father in the world. And he will be this, that, the next thing. And do you know, within days of me saying that, I got what I spoke. Your tongue could be your greatest asset or could be your greatest curse. There's life and death in the power of the tongue. And you shall eat the fruit, of it. So choose to speak life in some situations. I learned that when I don't speak so much, that when I do speak on purpose, my words are more powerful. So because remember, God said you're responsible for every idle word that you speak. Every idle word. Because words are spirits. They go out and do what they're told to do. So if you said, I hope this happens, and you see it happen, you really did speak that. Because God made us in his image and likeness. He spoke things into existence, and we do the same stuff. That's why you had to clear your mind. Renew it. I remember when I heard Creflo Dollar before say about be careful what you listen to, what you watch, and all that kind of stuff, I barely watch TV now. I may watch a movie because we have the box, but I don't watch TV, commercials, the news, all that kind of stuff, because they'll poison you. So what you bring into your ears and you listen to, you think about. What you see, you take in, and it becomes the words that you speak that create your world. And so I really have to be careful what I listen to, what I watch, and all that stuff. Because like all those housewives shows and stuff, that's just like garbage and drama and filth. And then you attract it into your life, and you wonder why you got drama and filth. Because that's what you take in that becomes a part of you, and you assimilate to become it. But if you, I remember they said, the 5 people that you hang around the most, you're the sum of. Man, I didn't have 5 people to count. I was like, well, I ain't really worth much, am I? I said, my baby. I was like, I haven't got 5 people that I be around. I was like, man, I ain't worth much. I said, well, Lord, can you help me? Can you change my... And that's when I met Alicia. That's when I met her at the event, when I asked God to bring people in my circle that would help me to develop. But I had to ask for it. And then he put me in the right environment, the right day, the right time, the right places to be able to go and be able to meet her. So your supernatural spiritual gifts in nature. So I said in the beginning, God created. We have creative minds just like him. So when I realized the first thing God wanted us to know about him was that in the beginning he created, I said, well, Lord, bless me to have a creative mind like yours. That's the first thing he wants us to know. He created us and he's creative. So let me be creative. That's the first thing you want me to know about you. It must be important, right? Then in Genesis 1:3, he said, let there be. So I know how to get the things I desire. All I got to do is speak it. Then in Genesis 1:9, and God said, let the, whatever you call it is how it shall be. Let the, you name it. And then Genesis 1:26, then God said, let us, plural, God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, make mankind in our image and our likeness. We're some powerful people. But do you choose to believe that you're not? It's up to you. If God made us in his image and likeness, it's a powerful thing. He didn't make us to be lesser than him. He made us to be like him. So who are you to be mediocre? Who are you to be complacent and sit by and feel like this is what my reality would be? When I grew up, I didn't grow up around a bunch of business people with all these millions of dollars. So I thought that would have been my reality. But when I started changing the environments that I was in, I saw there could be more, and I started learning. I saw people, I have 5 exes against me. I'm a person of color. I'm from the islands. I got an accent. I'm a female. And something else. What's the 5th one? You can't even... Mother. Oh, yeah, a single mom, right? And so what are people's excuse? If you're a man and you're of color, you got 1 strike. I got 5 strikes against me, but I still choose to do anyway. It's not about the circumstances that are against you. It's about who is with you. Let me tell you, God has done things for me that I don't know the people who have the influence, the resources and all that, but I pray to God for it. I said, God, please allow me to have favor with people who have the resources, the finances, the power, the ability and all that to make a difference. I remember one time I was looking at getting evicted. I had no idea the property manager put her line on the job for me. This woman didn't know me, but that's what I was praying. And he allowed me to see that. This woman said, I will not put her out and you would have to fire me first. God will have people fighting for you that you never know are fighting for you. Amen. I've actually seen God literally take a paper. My name was to the bottom of the pile and put me on top. I was at a job fair when the Hard Rock first opened up. And man, I had to go to the bathroom back. But the people said, if you leave the line and you go use the restroom, you can't come back to apply for the job for another year. I was like, Lord, you mean I can pee on myself today? I said, Lord, I'm too grown for this. I said, Lord, I got to go with my name to the bottom. Maybe like 3 to 5 minutes later, they called me. I saw my name to the bottom, but he moved my name to the top. So stop worrying about where your name is placed. It doesn't make a difference if your name is at the bottom of the pile or not. It make a difference if God told you to do something and you do it. That's the only difference. Because you have to have the correct corresponding actions. Faith without doing what you're supposed to do makes no sense. That's layman's terms. So if you're supposed to do something, you have to take the appropriate corresponding actions. If you want a home, maybe you need to find out where your credit at. I don't believe God for credit and payments. I just really don't. I said, God on a cattle on 1,000 hills. What I can believe him for payments for? Payments, anybody could do payments for that. Mm-hmm. The car I have, when my other car was breaking down all the time, and we almost about to get knocked on the expressway and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And thank God for allowing that semi not to hit us, because the car just cut off literally in the middle of the expressway. Instead of complaining, I would say, Lord, thank you for our new car, debt-free, paid in full, that we didn't pay $1 for. Do you know we got a car debt-free, paid in full, that we didn't pay $1 for? Car broke down one day. The next morning, we had another car. Debt-free, paid in full, and better than what we had. Mm-hmm. I just don't believe God for payments. It may take a little longer. Depends on him. Depends on what he's trying to work out through me and in me. But I don't believe God for payments. It just don't make no sense. Right. For me, that's my reality. It doesn't have to be someone else's own, but that's my reality. And it's been working for me. And then Genesis 1:29, God said, I give you everything you need. He will give you. You don't have to go into the world and seek it or seek people. He will give you. If he told you to do something, just do your part. And he will give you what it is that you need. And then Genesis 1:31, I sound like a minister, hey. I just was writing this down yesterday. This starting to sound like a serpent. And then Genesis 1:31, God saw all that he made, and it was very good. So you are good. Our sin, nature, and all, you are still good. He looked at you and said, ooh, Miss Robinson, ooh, she good. You see that? You see that? Look at Marsha, ooh, she good. Look at my mama back there with them 5 kids. She good. So it's everything that he did is a reflection of him. So if we choose to be identified with him, we are a reflection of him. So what are we reflecting? When we look in the mirror, I'm cute with this makeup on, right? But I got flaws otherwise. I'm just joking. I'm cute, right? So what is it that you're reflecting? Do you need to change that reflection? It is all a reflection of God. Everything in nature is. I have a bunch of things where I was looking in scripture where it says about writing things down. So it's interesting what Selena said. I'm like, man, Selena taking the pop if I can even say it. Anything that's important, there's tons of scriptures where God says, write it down. I remember watching something, Tales from the Crypt? Yeah, Tales from the Crypt was a long time ago. Mm-hmm. You know, back in the 80s or something. It's still long, because it's like 30-something years ago. And they had this episode, and I still remember, I was a kid. I was like real young. And there was this author. And whatever she wrote would happen. Well, these books. And I taught it at my last event, and it was interesting because it was a young lady who's mutual friends of ours. I didn't know she had a prophetic gift. And it was interesting that some things that I had done for my event, one of my friends told me, like my colors, she said it was childish and it was immature and it wasn't professional. I'm like, but I know that's what God told me to do. I still did at the event. Here comes Erica Joy. When we got a break, she said, God said that you chose the right colors. And he said to tell everybody that if they do what you said to do, it will happen. Mm-hmm. I was like, what? But see, I still had to go and do it regardless of what people said. And it was so insulting the way my friend said it. I remind her sometimes in conversation, I can't be paying y'all no attention. I got to do what God told me to do. But these books here, it was something that I learned by accident. I said, and instead of journaling, I already know how my day went. Why am I going to be writing about my day? I know what happened that day. I said, why don't I start writing the life that I desire in present tense as though it's happening? I realized when I started doing that, the things started happening. And every person who I teach it to, things start happening. Now, am I consistent in doing it all the time? So guess what I get sometimes? Inconsistent results, right? So these books, one thing I do not do, I don't let anybody read my book. Nobody is to read the book, because sometimes people try to make things happen for you. Sometimes they'll try to sabotage it. Sometimes they'll judge it and tell you how you should do it differently. It's nobody's business what you put inside these books. So these books are a gift to you from me. They don't have lines in it because it gives you no limits, no boundaries. Or you just flow in here how you choose to. And I remember there was one thing that I wrote in the book one day, and I physically could not make it happen. It depended on outside circumstances. Do you know that happened in like 24 hours? I thought it'd take maybe like a year or so. It happened in 24 hours. I was like, wow, this stuff works. So what you can do is you can figure out what it is that you desire in life. And what is it that you're willing to do or give for that. And I'll just write things in here like, oh, today was the best day ever. I had this meeting with this amazing client and this is what happened. And these were the results and da-da-da. And it happens. It's something about writing it down. There's tons of scriptures I tell you. It says write it down. Make it clear. You have to see what it is that you're writing. But you have to have a vision first. And it may not come right away because I always used to ask God, what is it that you want me to do? And sometimes people feel like your life has to be all about ministry. God has us there not just for ministry. He has us to be successful. That's just like with the virtuous woman. She went and bought property. She didn't consult her husband for that. She saw it was good and she went and bought it. You understand? She was a businesswoman. She had her home life, but she still had her business. It's not always about business only. I mean, it's not always about ministry only. You have to be useful. Some of us are so, what they call it? So
spiritual, no earthly good.
Yeah, no earthly good. None. We're supposed to be the ones succeeding in life. Not the world. We're looking at the world saying, oh, wow, they're living great lives. They're supposed to be looking at us and saying, wow, their life is so good. What is it about them in their life? Like, I need to go get to know their God or something. But it's the opposite way because we're living defeated lives and we have no reason or excuse to. That's like I study scripture and I always ask God to help me to understand. I listen to some ministers speak and I'm thinking, that's the same Bible. What Bible you got that from? It can't be the same Bible I read because the scripture did not say that. But then people listen because pastor said, and some people will preach you straight to hell. Sometimes they listen because that's what grandpa said and daddy said, and that's how they did it. Still being religious and not focusing on the one who created things, because tradition could be your worst enemy. And remember, vision and sight is different. I asked God for one. So if you don't have one, ask God, what is the vision that you should have for your life? Or ask him to help you sort through the clutter. Because what I saw was depressing and mediocre, and I didn't like it. Mm-hmm. I said, it have to be more to life than this. Mm-hmm. And a lot of relationships fail because there's no vision. Sometimes we get married and we're in love and we think that's going to be enough. Mm-hmm. And so when I look at if I ever get married, I said, we have to have a vision. What is going to be accomplished from this relationship? Is it just love? Because when that feeling fades away, and everyone has a different definition of love. Like my definition of love may be different than yours, or what I accept as expression of love may be different than what you accept as expression of love, because I'm not affectionate. So if you're looking for affection from me, you got the wrong person. Like when I got pregnant, I had to learn how to be affectionate. I'd be like, hey, baby. I had to learn to be affectionate. I'm still rough some days, but I'm better than I was before. And so you have to have a vision for yourself, your family life, your kids. Otherwise, you'll just be there existing, paying bills, frustrated, defeated, because every day is the same, because you don't look outside of what I have to do just to make it. And you also have to have one spiritual life. What is your vision for your spiritual life? What is it for your physical life? What is it for your body? Keeping in good health, different things like that. You have to have a vision for every area of your life. Otherwise, one part's going to start dwindling as you're going to be out of balance. And speak life over those things concerning you. If it's something important to you, speak life over it. Some days you just got to go down and you just got to be praying for God to cover different things and to protect you from things that you see. Pray for those things seen and unseen, known and unknown, because it's going to be things that we don't know about. And you got to cover all of that. Otherwise, if there's one hole that the enemy could get through, then he's going to break it through and plow into the different areas. Can't be religious all the time. You got to be spiritual. Because I say people walk around with their eyes wide shut. The things that are truly important in life, most people don't check for. They care about hair and fashion and money and cars, not really understanding what's going on. And it's so depressing to me. Because when you can see more things than what other people can see sometimes, you really start to get, but then you can't let depression come. You just got to ask God how to help you to do your part, because you can't save everybody. But who is it that you can save? Like, I saw some people who I was speaking to about certain things, and one of them I saw him on TV last year got murdered. Talked to this boy all day. At the time he got murdered, he wasn't doing the wrong thing, but did he still do what he's supposed to? Because when you're young, you think that you're going to be living forever. When I get old, I'll serve the Lord. And the thing is, some of us will never get old. Alicia, you ever in the charger? I didn't bring my charger. I'm on 5% at 5:55. 5 is a special number for me. My son was born 5 pounds, 5 ounces at 5:55 and like 18.5 inches. And I found that's a number for favor and grace in the Bible. And let your hands follow with the appropriate action. So when you speak things, let your hands follow with the appropriate actions. Because if God took the time to put his hands to do certain things, we got to take the time to put our hands to certain things. So these are some of the things that I do.
How much longer?
Some people I have 5%. You can leave it for now.
For you. How much longer are you going to talk?
I'm almost done.
Okay.
So some people have vision boards. Vision boards are too cluttery for me. It has too much stuff and I just can't focus. So I make like little boards. So I can focus on a particular thing and I may have several different ones. That way I know this is my Audi AEL W12. And it's interesting, I love the word distinctive, and it says driven by distinction, engineered for the distinctive. It's like, you know that car's fine. Praise the Lord. I test drive that car like every year. I really do. I know how it feels to drive that car, how it smells. I didn't like how they changed the little thing and you turn on and shut off that little eco thing. They have to change that by the time I get my car next year. And another thing that I do is I have other goals. Now, if you look in your house and you look at all the pictures, you're focusing on things that happened already. If you start putting your goals around your home, you can also look towards your future. So it's okay to have pictures of the past, but we're so oftentimes so busy focused on the past that we forget where we're going and how things work. That may have worked then, but it doesn't mean it's going to work now. This is another one. I didn't make January's goal. That's okay. January's goal was to have about 5 clients, different things, a certain amount. Didn't make it, but didn't change it. That just means we'll try for February. Then we'll try for March and April and May. But we know what we're working towards. One of my friends went to London, went to England, and he knows that I wanted one of my goals is to go there. So I have a pound, so 5 pounds, and a picture frame on my desk. So we know when we go to England, I'm not going to spend it. I will get a replacement. But that's what it's I'll do. Another thing is, I'll keep it here for now because by the time I'm done, it should be fine. Because they won't be able to hear me.
Okay.
But thank you, love. So every Monday, I meet with 2 young ladies. And their names are Marsha, and Fatia. And it's called a mastermind. Mastermind is a collective, where we come together, you meet for a common purpose and different things like that. And Marsha has been making amazing progress. Fatia been making progress too. I got Fatia frustrated last week. And we get on each other's nerves some days because Marsha was telling me the other day, she was like, but Radisha, you need some new clients. I said, but this client, I'm supposed to do certain things and God showed me certain stuff. Marsha's like, but you need more clients. I was like, yeah, but I don't have enough. Marsha's like, okay, so when are you going to get another client? I was like, okay, Marsha. Okay, Marsha. And it's funny because on Marsha's calendar, she has my stuff. So now I'm even more accountable because Marsha put on her calendar that I got to get it done. That gentle pressure. That gentle pressure. At first, when Marsha started coming, she was a little quiet and stuff. Marsha came last week with my energy, and I came like, I don't feel like being here. My hair was a mess. But that's the thing. I don't work based off emotions. Regardless of how I feel, I still do what I'm supposed to do regardless. This paper here, whatever way you choose to organize it for your life, is very, very powerful to be accomplished. I don't call it things to do because that sounds like, man, I got something else to do. But the most important thing is starting your day off with God. Everybody has a different relationship with God. One of my friends got offended because, how a God and I have conversations sometimes. I was like, that's not your relationship. It's mine and his. If he have an issue, he'll tell me. That's just like, I said, when I get married, I pray about even my sex life. Integrity. I said, well, did he make it for married couples? So why can't I talk to him about it? And people put God in these boxes for everything. Well, if you don't want to pray about yours, let yours be salty and sour. So the most important way that you start your day is Dr. Caroline Leaf. She says it's thanksgiving, praise, and then worship. Thanksgiving, what she said, gets God's attention, I think it is. Praise does something else, and worship gets you into his presence. And some days I realize that when I pray more for people than I do for myself, I don't have to ask God for anything. So I remember I made it a mission one week not to pray anything for myself and tell me why everything started to happen. And I was like, I need to pray about this. And I'd be like, Lord, would you please bless the neighbors, bless their family, bless their... I literally would not pray about anything concerning me. And he still took care of everything. Before I could even think about it for like a second, he did. Remember with Job? When he prayed for his friends, is when everything started working for them. Sometimes we're praying for ourselves and our situations too much. Maybe we need to be praying for people around us and not our selfish desires. And it takes the attention off of us and being good to others. And I realized that when I start having selfish, like self-centered prayers, I can be praying until Jesus come back. Sometimes we have to take the focus off of us. So you have to figure out what is living distinctively for you. Yours may be simple, and that's okay. Because what it says was great, something comes great responsibility. When God gives you more, you have more responsibility. I be trying to run away from responsibility some days, but it seems like it just follows me. But your way of living distinctively would be different than mine. Like one of my goals is, what you say, Mommy? Yeah, to whom much is given, much is required. Man, I lost my train of thought. That's okay. Since I had that baby. My goal, thank you, Marsha, right here. See, she keeps me on track, man. We need to meet more than just Mondays. So one of my goals is to travel to every country in each United States to learn more about God through people and food. Some people said that's impossible. I met a guy who traveled to 185 countries. I think it was. He has a tattoo on his leg, every country he's been to. He has a map of the globe. And every time he goes somewhere, he gets it shaded in. Come to find out there's a Centurion Club or a travel club or something with people who've been to X amount of countries across the world. So someone told me my dream and goal was impossible, didn't make any sense. And here it is, I met people who are doing it. So people will tell you based upon their mindset and their limitations. Don't place your limitations on yourself or anybody else. Like I don't place my limitations on my son. And I try not to do it on me. And I ask God to show me limitations so I can remove it also. Now, sometimes you'll ask God to show you things about yourself. You'll be like, God, could you hold on 1 minute, please? Let me finish this one over here that's still. I said, Lord, hold on. Not another one. I didn't take care of this one yet, And it's interesting because coming here today, I was like, man, I have an idea what I'm going to talk about. But I was like, Lord, please help me to speak about the right things. Meditation, after you have your time with God, you really need to have that quiet time. It's very important. That's where you get clarity. You don't get clarity in noise and talking and doing things. You get clarity in silence. Sometimes in darkness too. Through my darkest years was when I got the most clarity. When I was that seed in the ground, looking like it was not of value, that's where things were becoming clear. Also, something you have to do every day is review, see, and experience your goals. Don't experience your goals when they're in your hand. Experience them from in your mind. So when it happens, you're like, man, this is exactly how I imagined it being. Or it's just like, I've been here before. I've done this before. In your mind, as though it's a reality, it'll manifest faster too because you're believing it. Our invisible nature is what creates everything because God, when he created the heavens and the earth, he didn't use brick and mortar. He spoke it. Someone just was telling me about some research where the same elements that were made from the dust that were made from is the same one found in the stars and the different planets. The exact same chemical makeup or something like that. I said, well, look at that, well, Lord, that's amazing.
We're stars.
Right? Girl, shine bright like a diamond, right? Another thing is reading. Reading is so important, but it's whatever your interest or area of concern is. And read for like at least 30 minutes. One thing, the end of last year, I made it my goal to study and research more. So I bought online courses where I had unlimited access. So I could start studying and learning different things, because why should my best be behind me? If I'm going to stay relevant in my field, I always have to stay ahead of things. So I can't keep sharing the same information with you for the past 5 years. Mm-hmm. It has to be something new. What is it that's different about Radisha? People love Radisha for information. Radisha always tends to have an answer, a resource, or somewhere to send you if she doesn't have it herself. That's what's valuable about me. If I don't know the answer, I can find the answer, or someone who has it. Another thing is listening to a motivational message. When you start your day with the right mindset, the day will flow. Even if things around you don't get better, things in you get better, so the things around you don't make a difference. I could go into a chaotic environment, and it may not faze me, but if I don't do what I'm supposed to do, like this groundwork, I'll act just like the other fools in the environment. I've been doing that a little bit recently, Lord forgive me. So I need to get back to the right mindset and do the things I'm supposed to, so that I don't react or I respond, because there's a difference between reacting and responding. And I prefer when I respond to things versus reacting and have to be like, would you please forgive me for doing that? And then having a schedule, because when you have a schedule, you have permission to say no. If you don't have an idea of what it is that you're going to do, people just pull you anyway. Come do this for me. Can you do that for me? I need to get that done. But if you know what you're going to do, you have permission to say no. That's like I had to say no to someone this week. They wanted me to do something that was important for them. And like I tell people, including my clients, just because it's an emergency for you doesn't mean it's an emergency for me. I warned you about this before, but you didn't want to listen. Now it happened. That doesn't have nothing to do with me. And so I had my day planned already. So I had to say, I understand this is important, but I already had my day planned. So I won't be able to come today, because I knew what it was that I had to do. And another thing, don't feel like you have to explain yourself to people. You don't. And then you give away your powers, so to say. Sometimes I say no, and I'm not going to tell you why I said no. And I don't have to tell you why I said no, because it's no. Sometimes we feel like we have to explain everything to people, and then sometimes you start adding little white lies or half-truths, or you feel guilty. Just say no. People don't always explain to you why they're not going to do something. So why do you have to explain to people?
I learned that no is a complete sentence.
Yes, it's 2 letters. No.
Complete sentence.
Another thing is how you end your day is so powerful. Sometimes you go to bed with all the chaos and clutter from the day, all the problems, who said things, who didn't do what didn't go right. But when you go to bed, before you go to bed, try to have a routine where you unwind, declutter, clear your mind, time with God, meditate, and speak tomorrow into existence. There's something that Cindy Trim has that teaches you about speaking your day into existence. You're commanding your day. Commanding your day and commanding your morning. So I realized that when I would speak tomorrow, like what I desire to happen, and those words went ahead of me. Words, invisible things that go out and do what they're told to do. And things will flow a whole lot better. Another thing is making sure you have your schedule, making sure you're prepared. Preparation is the groundwork for success. Preparation is the groundwork for success. Where that came from, I don't know. But preparation is the groundwork for success. So I realized if I prep things for like my son's lunch, his uniforms, any different things like that, and I have it laid out, I'm not all over the place. I'm less likely to stress and scream and Arden! But if I have it laid out, I could just flow. You have to find your flow. Find how it flows for you, not how it flows for this person and that person. Your flow, because everyone has a different rhythm and beat and how they ought to live. So this book here, starting from whenever you choose to, because I can't tell you what to do, right? But you have the tool and the resource in your hand to change your life. Start writing your life into existence in the present tense, positively, as though it's happening without limitation. The only limitation you have is here. And ask God to remove the limits off of you so you can create the most abundant life that's for you. We really have to have the world looking at us and saying, wow, do you see how they live? How satisfying their lives are versus